Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Tyler. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and we'll be having an interesting time today on the show. I hope you all can hear me. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, and the entire world on the Good Morning Education Show today. We will be having conversations on another interesting topic, and but before then, we're going to also spend some time to review some of the headlines that affect education. We have some interesting headlines as well today, and we're going to look at that together this morning. And then we'll move over to our conversation on the show, and this gives you an opportunity to share with us your thoughts on the subject matter, and you also could tell us what you feel, not just make a contribution, but also feel free to ask your questions. We believe that excellent for this morning. And yes, thank you all for joining, and we'd like to hear from you. And while we do that, let's just look at the very first headline this morning. And the first headline says, "Get mean ahead of 2022 UTME, JAM tells candidates." Now, JAM is giving instructions on those who will be willing to participate in the coming um, um, in the coming UTME exam, and it's definitely going to mean that the participants, or better still, the candidates who are planning to be a part of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, they are expected to acquire the National Identification Number ahead of the exercise. The board stated this on Monday in its weekly bulletin released by the Office of the Registrar in Abuja. JAM said that it will soon start the sale of application documents and registration for the 2022 UTME and direct entry. And the body is at the moment engaging its core functionaries in a series of intensive training to ensure that once the date is announced, the stage would have been set for yet another hitch-free exercise. That's something from JAM there, and so people need to get to prepare themselves. Yeah, so that's that for JAM. And then the next headline: following students riot, Edo State shuts secondary school following student riot. You can catch that on the Vanguard ngr.com. This is, one will be surprised that we're having we hope that this is sorted out, as soon as possible, and with time, we believe that it will be sorted out for everyone to be a part of it. So all the people concerned, our desire is that they find lasting solutions to these things, preventing violence, preventing what would you call that now? There's violence, there's maltreating of students. There's so much happening, and we hope that this would really be a wake-up call, not just for Edo State, but across. Students must be willing to also make sure that the purpose of going to school is achieved. That's very important. The purpose of going to school. Uh, um, the next headline says, Fuoye prioritizes training for workforce. That is also another headline that needs to be considered. Very interesting. You cannot underestimate, or would you say you cannot overestimate the place of training, and organizations that get training right tend to do much more, better. That's what I feel. So yes, the prioritization of training for workforce by the Vice Chancellor of Federal, that's Professor Bayomi Fashio, is stating the essence, the need of training, you know, and this will also discourage laziness, encourage hard work, and push competence. And they also can compete favorably across the world. That's really, I believe, the goal behind that. All right, let's look at another headline. Abiodun to deliver MTU convocation lecture. That's the Governor Dakwa Abiodun is to deliver convocation lecture. Okay. Um, so let's see. Another headline: Lagos and public school infrastructure. And this is the news, heralding the need for public schools to be developed. Another news says 94 Nigerians amongst this year's Masters graduate of UNICAF. You know, UNICAF University Zambia, one of the campuses, is graduating students from Nigeria. And Nigerians, 94 Nigerians won indeed. And we say congratulations to all of them. And congratulations on this feat. And we pray and believe that they will get more accolades, they will get more successful, and they'll be able to put to use all that has been learned. That's our prayer. That's our prayer, that they'll be able to work accordingly. So yeah, pretty much. Yes, so that's basically it. We we should be able to see all this as functional as possible, you know, functional as possible. Okay, so let's go into another conversation of the day. Um, so we're talking about take out the heat this morning, and so if you were part of us on the show yesterday, if you were not, you need to find some time to listen to all that has been said on the show. Yes, we've been having, I think it's the season and the weather. We've been having challenges with the network, and sometimes it affects our videos, it affects our posting. But we've made ourselves of strong resolute that we will be here regardless, no matter what. But then we've had an interesting conversation yesterday. I totally recommend that must listen to everyone must listen to the show. You know, we spoke about um meeting yourself, how I met me. That's very important, you know. Good morning, Ifyok. Thank you for joining. Good morning, Ifyok. Are you there? Hello, good morning. Hello, Ifyok, if you can hear me, good morning. So,
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
yes, I
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I'm coming in late. Just had my hands busy with other things. How are you this morning?
very well, thank you. Good to have you. All right, so let's get to the meat of the matter. We're talking about take out the heat. And I was trying to make an introduction. And before then, I was telling the audience that, we had a very interesting show yesterday. And the show actually is something that is a must watch. It's something everyone should spend time to go to our archives, go to our YouTube channel, just spend some time, or Facebook channel, spend some time to, listen in to all that was said yesterday. We talked about how I met me, getting people to meet themselves. And it was different perspective. It was quite an interesting one. Um, I recommend that people out there should spend some time to study with that episode. So today we are talking about take out the heat. Take out. And this is basically, putting us into a position where we want to actually identify, you know, um, how do I put it, hot zones, hot spots in our education system, hot zones, hot spots in our businesses, in our jobs, in our profession, hot zones, things that are more like sparking fire, and having the courage to identify and also deal with such. These are the um, things that I would like to talk about today. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on, the overview I've just shared. What do you think? Does that interest you? Over to you, Ifyok. Ifyok, 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 are you there? All right. Guess you're having troubles with audio. Um, I don't know whether it's the weather, but we've been having a lot of network challenges. So we'll still try to hold on to see if you could join us. So if you're following us, just let us know where you're streaming from, where you're connecting from. I would like to hear from you. Would like to know your thoughts. What are the kind of things you would consider as heat in your environment, in your situation? What would you consider as heat in your circumstance, in your job, and of course in the education sector, so we can deal with it decisively. Let's know your thoughts on that, because it's so yeah. So like I said, heat is, how do we put it now? Heat is definitely something that we all must recognize as, you know, trouble spots within our zone, within our business, within the sector. And we need to get to the point where we are able to take out the heat. It's almost like saying, let me share with you the way fire trucks or firefighters work. You know, they always try as much as possible, as we're told, to target the base of the fire. And the reason is because they want to be able to take out the fire. If you're welcome back once again, thank you for joining. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I think my network took me out for a bit there. I had to restart my computer.
Okay, so we're talking about heat. Take out the heat.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, did you get my
Yes, I think I
introduction?
missed the introduction there. No. I missed the introduction. So if you could shed more
So
light on the
heat is
topic.
almost
What are we?
okay. So I said heat is kind of symbolic.
Yeah.
So it's signifying hot spots, hot zones.
Yeah, pressure
You
points.
know,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly in our organizations, our profession, in our sector. And one of the things that we're trying to look at is it's our responsibility not just to talk about it, not just to feel uncomfortable about it, not just to share concern about it, but we really must get to take out the heat, just like firefighters. And seems that sometimes our culture of indifference or culture of being passive or non-assertiveness sometimes gets in the way. We'll rather say, well, I'm not the one that's going to bail the cat. I'm not the one that's going to have a bad name. I'm not the one that's going to call a spade a spade. I'm not the one that's going to call people out, and that's why sometimes things get to a point where it just begins to overboil, it begins to get scattered, sometimes it begins to get destroyed. So, what are your thoughts and take about that?
Well, my thoughts honestly are flying everywhere. They're flying everywhere with regards to who the pressure is on and how to work around that pressure. So, looking at it from the angle of parents, looking at it from the angle of teachers, looking at it from the angles of the children. So, we're looking at the educational sector here, right? So, also looking at it from the angle of the administration, administrators and other stakeholders that have to play their part to make the education sector be what it is. And so, if I may, I'll start with the. I'll start with children, because that's home to me. Um, and I'll take it. Let me take it through the whole year. Okay, if we want to span through the whole year, say from January to December, January to mid March or the end of March brings is a period where most children will be leaving home. Most children, who are, let's say, maybe going to boarding school or going to the university. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my friends, and her child is preparing to leave home, go back to the university. Now, the prospect of that difficulty with regards to settling in is one big issue that both parents and children face. And it takes a lot to be able to get the child emotionally ready for that transition. So transitions are pressure points in the education sector for children, for parents, even for educators. So transition at different stages in life. Okay, if we look at when transition for exam period, for example, during April, April, May, June, that period, there's lots of exams going on that usually takes place at that time. And you can imagine the stress that both parents, educators, and children will go through at that time. And so it's very important for us as individuals and the different, the different roles that we take or that we stand in, to consider these transitions and how best we can get ourselves ready for that transition, just so that we can buffer the effect of stress and pressure on ourselves. I think I'll leave it there with regards to the transitions. Living home generally is one thing. So living home, I'll look at safeguarding as well. With in light of recent events with the passing away, the bullying incident that's happened. I honestly, my heart goes out to the families, the family, direct family, and members of this child. And I just pray that God will touch them and heal them, and not just heal them, heal us, because it's not a one man's pain right now. It's everyone. It's the educational sector. It's everyone. If you look at it, we all have a part to play with regards to safeguarding children and protecting them. So safeguarding health and safety is another pressure point that we really need to look into and up our game, in that aspect. I feel like I've been talking for too long, but I could go on and on. There's just so much. There is so much, but I'll leave it there for now.
All
Hello?
right, thank you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's thank you for that intro, and it's really nice to have that conversation. The truth of the matter also is this, that we also need to we also need to understand that it's our responsibility to fix things. A lot of times people play defiant, or people actually play passive, to the things they ought to focus on or have a voice print on, and all that, and it just tells a lot of things why sometimes some organizations or some people do not get to scale over, you know they don't get to scale over um, to certain levels, certain heights, and certain realities. And this is really why we need to understand, if you find heat, if you experience heat, there's only just one thing to do with heat: take it out. Let's use this opportunity to welcome Olushola Olumide. Good morning, Olushola Olumide.
Good morning, Rotimi. Good morning, Ifyok. Nice to be
Good
here. And good
morning,
morning to our
sir.
tribe
Good
members
morning.
out there. Yes.
Yeah, so we're talking about take out the heat, and we started by saying that heat is symbolic in this situation and context, and that heat represents pressure point, hot point, pinpoint, hot zones within our jobs, our profession, our pursuit, our businesses, and within the education sector. And if we understand that heat can be referred to all these kind of things, then just like firefighters, we are meant to take out the heat. Unfortunately, this is not always the reality, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Why do we sometimes tend to leave these things rather than fix these things?
Um, Thank you very much. I quite agree with you from that perspective, but the other side to it, fine, we still have to put the it out, but at the initial stage, there is another saying that if you can't stand the heat, leave the kitchen. That is another dimension to it. Looking at the magnitude, the gravity, and the size of what you are trying to take on at a time, challenges will surely come. It could also mean that if you cannot really withstand challenges, there's no point taking on that kind of a task or going on that project. That is one. Of course, That does not mean we should perpetuate the heat. Our ability to soak in the challenges and weather the storm will equally help you to dose the tension. Of course, if you realize that the firefighters, they are not just they are not what, maybe I should use the word weaklings or people who cannot, before the fire is eventually put out, they will have to experience some heat. So it also takes having the strength, having the tenacity to withstand the, because there are times if you want to put out the fire, you've got to get closer. The flames, comes around you. So if you don't get closer enough, you may not be able to, splash the water to put off the fire. So while we're trying to put off the fire, you also need some grit, the tenacity, the doggedness, and the resilience to approach that fire first before you can put it out. So I will say, don't run away from challenges. As you confront the challenges, don't also allow the challenges to be perpetuated, surmounted. So there are two things: ability to withstand, confront, and face the challenges headlong, then the strength, the capacity, the tenacity, the doggedness to eventually douse the challenge or the challenges. I think that is what makes one a great person, a great employee, a great educator. You don't just say, oh, this challenge is too much. Can I withstand it? Okay, let me quit. Go to any other place. You will meet the peculiarity of that place too, with its challenges. But as you confront it, make sure you put it off. Because if you don't put it off, by and by, you could get drowned, you could get burnt, you could be affected. And that now tells you that for firefighters, it's not a lone-ranging affair. There are backups. Yes, because as I'm splashing the water, I could exhaust the water in my own tank. So at that point, I would have moved in, and the fire could resuscitate. There could be combustible in there that the thing explodes again. So there are backups. There are people coming behind you, following you. As you exhaust your water, they come in, you are able to retreat in order to recoup. As you recoup, you also support them. As they are exhausting their water, you also moving while they also retreat. I think watching one another's back, moving together, rubbing minds together, planning together, and trying to table what I'm facing before you help me, you table what you are facing, I'm able to help you. I think we learning to synergize, to collaborate as we move ahead in the sector or industry goes a long way. Thank you very much.
So can I come in here, Mr. Ritimi? Sorry. So this is very coincidental because yesterday at home here, we had a fire incident at home. Okay, and it was a good learning opportunity for myself and the children here. And as we were speaking, I have my oldest daughter here with me, and she said something that I think I should say here. I should bring it up. It made sense. She says, to take out the heat, just remove one of the elements in the fire triangle. And I tried to encourage her. Maybe she would explain what she means by that. And she says, one, oxygen, two is heat, and the third one is the fuel. So she said, just take out one of the elements from the fire triangle. And it got me thinking, what's the oxygen? What's the fuel? What's the heat? What are we feeling? Okay, you're in the midst of that fire. No, you sorry, you're creating this. Okay, sorry. Okay. All right, so sorry about that. Now, take out the heat, take out the oxygen, take out the fuel, whatever is fueling you, whatever is it is igniting that fire, whatever causes you to heat up. identify that element, the fire or whatever is causing the heat, which I see here. When we talk about take out the heat, we haven't gotten to that place of being burned up or getting to the fire. So if we are able to take out the heat now, we will avoid fire. We will avoid ourselves or whatever it is we are trying to take out the heat from being burned up. So let me bring it home. In an establishment, in your job out there as a teacher or as a parent working with children or whatever it is you're doing, identify those pressure points, identify those heat. What did you call it again? Those no, the one of the elements that you talked about. So just identify the fuel, exactly what's filling you up, take it out, and that way you can start making very intentional steps to cool down, which is taking out the heat we're talking about here. Sorry, that's what I wanted to just chip in. Thank you. Hello,
Right,
am I
thank you
still
very much.
connected? Okay.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad that you have brave kids, and also both kids that are always in the moment, ability to learn from things and observe, uh, which also speaks about your parenting style. But then let's go back to it. You know, using what you said, it seems like you knew the next question I was about to ask, because our audience out there need to also understand the concept of heat. So let's even bring out specific heat. Let's create a heat seeker moment. What are those things? What are those elements that breed heat? Or what are those things that we find as heat in the organization that requires us to take out heat in our profession, heat in our sector? I'm going to ask you if you're to share some, and also ask Olushola to share some. So if you're first, over to you. If you're, are you there? Olushola, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Why we await Ifyok? Yes, identification matters a lot. You know, at times, some of those it could be unnecessary rivalry. It could be issue with inferiority complex. Some of those it could be underperformance, and at times somebody who is at the end of a year is being threatened. Yes, when you achieve and you are celebrated, some other people may become jealous or envious. These are some of the things that could bring the heat in one's line of work. At another time, I think I once shared it here. The first job I did, because of the way the recruitment was structured, there were guys working in that firm, but they just wanted everybody to respond to adverts. So we came in as trainee. Incidentally, as trainee, our salary was more than this guy's salary who had been working there because he couldn't skate through. He was working there quite all right and been following them out and all that. And he has this experience. And since he couldn't skate through the job test and interview, so he remained on his position while we were taking in as a trainee. And funny enough, the day I resumed, it was an audit outfit. We needed to go on an assignment. The audit manager, myself, and himself. So the audit manager just asked us to go. He would join us. So we got to our client's office, and I discovered that normally that's my first day in the office. So we got there, we sat down, we saw our clients, and they gave us an office where to work. And this our friend just after getting all we needed to get, just put the whole thing on my table and he went away. I was like, I am new here. This guy is supposed to even be of help to say, okay, this is how we do the work, this is how we do this is how we do the work and all that. He left me and went. By the time he came back, I was like, he said, are you not the one who are they cease to be brilliant? Maybe they just brought you guys in. I should start figuring things out myself. It was a baptism of fire for me. Yes, I could, took time, wriggle my way, but eventually I was able to surmount the challenge. But I needed to put the fire out, not fighting him. All I just needed to do was to massage his ego and tell him that I know that we came in here as graduate trainee. That the exam does not really show your competence, so to say that he's my boss, so he's my girl. I have to learn from him and all that. At least I needed to give him that sense of victory. Because if he abandoned me there and I begin to fumble on the job, I wouldn't know what will happen there. So, in order to put out the heat, once you spot there are people who are rooting for you, yes, and you spot them, you know how to deal with them so that they will not back out. When you notice the naysayers who are only trying you to go ahead and willing to remove the shot from your leg, you must learn how to manage them so that things doesn't escalate. So jealousy, envy, in fact, overachievement at times could be a problem. And they say he's the only one, they're always calling. Is he the only one? Is he the one that knows how to get the work done? And people think they want to sabotage you. And at times, it could be a regulatory thing. Take, for example, now, if you don't have a TRCN, that is beyond your school. In order not for you to be sent packing, you have to do something to get that certification. It's the sort of it. You've been working, yes, you have the first degree, probably you have your second degree, and you are doing your job very well. Now, there is a regulatory framework, and saying, go and get your TRCN. It puts some pressure on you. I don't say, well, they will keep quiet some of these days. Do I need to stand be? After all, I'm getting my job done. Do I need any other certification? My friend, if you think they will not come and throw you out, they can come and throw you and even penalize your school. In fact, before they come to your school will send you packing. Say, don't come and cause confusion for us here. Because by the time the problem comes now, you will pack your load and go. It is the school they will penalize. So you have to put your ears on the ground, look for your supporters, look for the naysayers, know how to undo them, the approach to each. Then at times it could be your boss who is probably not listening to the voice of reasoning. All he wants to do is get this done, get that done. He's driving you crazy already. He's having mental health issue. You are being stressed up and all that. You may have to find out, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to call these people, talk with them? And at times you may be the HOD. The people under you appear not to be supporting. It's putting pressure on you. You are the one to receive knocks from the management. You need to see these guys and say, you guys listen to me. I wouldn't want to sound as if I'm sabotaging anybody. I wouldn't want to be writing reports on you, my staff. But dropping the ball is getting me worked up. I know what I face when I go to management meeting. You guys know. So you must identify. When you identify, then let there be an intervention so that we can douse the heat and we can move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you're, are you back?
Yes, I am back. Sorry, there's just a lot of noise around me. Okay, so
let's hear it.
well, the first thing that comes to my mind is funding. Okay, is money. The funding in our system, honestly, is poor funding is one of the problems that I see faces. In fact, for me, it's the most prominent, probably the most prominent problem that we face, or the heat my heat sensors actually come up when it comes to issues of finance and funding in the Nigerian education sector. I think the other day I was reading an article. It's been out for a while. I think in 2020, Nigeria's education budget was less than far away from the 26% that was it 26 or 28%, around about that, that was initially budgeted. And so for me, it's a lot, because a lot depends hands on money. Okay, so if you're not able to sustain that aspect, if you're not able to sustain education financing in a system, it affects a lot of things. It has led to teacher strikes. It has led to seeming reduction in the quality of education that our children have access to. So if you want your child to have like quality education, you have to cough out monies that you probably don't even have. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a huge pressure point or hit point for a lot of parents and for the country as a whole. Let's look at investments. Being able to make investments in the education sector without finance, without and poor management of funds, it's a tall order. So that's one aspect for me. Another one is our maintenance culture. Being able to maintain what we have. Let's say, okay, this is what we have. This is the quality of education we have now, or this is the quality of infrastructure we have. This is the technology we have right now. How are we able to maintain what we have at the moment? I think we have a very unfortunately, our maintenance culture on certain things is poor, and we need to up our game there. Another thing is I'm going to also talk about, still connecting to maintenance culture, our response, or should I say response strategy or response procedure, is one aspect that we also need to work on. Because let's say let's say this pandemic, for example, I really want to applaud our efforts in the education sector and how we were able to bounce back and take the bull by the horn. However, we need to be able to have a strategy that can help us be more coordinated with regards to responding to emergencies. So being able to be prepared. So emergency preparedness is one aspect that we need to work on as a country, as a whole, as education sector. What else? Let's say parenting. If I just would list parenting, corruption, responsibility. So let's take individuals taking responsibility. That's corporate responsibility for ourselves and for our sector, for what it is we can achieve. And I think that will also help to cut the indiscipline that we see in the system, which then eventually reflects to issues of malpractice in the different aspects of the sector. I think I'm just trying to give bullet points as they come in my head, and I'll leave it there for now. Oh, no. I have to mention this one. Teacher welfare. Right. Lack of good teachers' welfare. How could I forget this one? Yes, it still boils down to finance. However, there should be. Sorry. Hello.
Carry on.
Yes, go on.
Okay. So it still connects to poor funding and management of funds and all that. But there has to be a change in the way teachers are taken care of. It boils down to money, it boils down to the care, it boils down to empathy, to show that you actually appreciate the work that we do in the sector. Because look at it, if a lot of teachers earn very low salaries, but the work that they put in is you cannot quantify it. So I think we just need to focus on good teacher welfare and take it on from there. Thank you.
All
I'll
right.
be taking it
Thank
over
you
to
so much.
me.
Thank you so much. You've been able to, extensively open up the dimensions, from left to right to the key the key burning issues that, of course, a teacher advocate should not forget. And
Yeah, because this comes home to me. So
okay, so let's take a step further on this conversation before we end the show. And what I would like us to also do is what what I want us to do is not to mention just the heat, but provide some meaningful steps and strategies to taking out some of these things in the shortest term. Some of things we've highlighted, some of things that we should highlight. What strategies can be deployed in taking out the heat? Let's start.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I will tell you the question was just spot on because we cannot just mention the it and not provide how the way out of the it. Looking at it from right to left, front to the back. Uh, like I said earlier on, you must identify the it. Some appear to be peculiar to certain people, then some are generic. If you had mentioned the issue of financing and whatever, I can remember in the last uh, in the last 20 years or more, if we have ever met with UNESCO benchmark of I think 26%. I think the last budget we had about 7% thereabout. So is we are far away from the real thing. And apart from government not really living up to the billings with regard to education, um, practitioners in the space has also turned to where a case of fish has started eating fish. Yes. Teachers are not being well remunerated. And take it or leave it, good remuneration serves as motivation. So if you want to all the take out the heat, to start from that angle, I think better remuneration. There are certain things that bothers an average educator. Once they are well paid and provided for and taken care of, I tell you certain things is not going to bother them. It also helps them to concentrate on the job at hand. Also, for educators, there is need to upgrade. When I mean upgrade now, it's not just a certification, increase proficiency. Uh, you need to be able to do better. You need to give a better service delivery. You should be able to um, be a master of your craft. Whatever subject you are handling, you should be a master at. And I tell you, even as bad as things appear to be now, if you are a master of your craft, you discover that opportunities will not be lacking at your door. If you can even your skill and your value, your proficiency serves as a tool of negotiation. You're able to negotiate better. And when people discover that you're a master at so and so, somebody wants to pay you, they say, no, I won't take that. Why you are still negotiating, and that person is calling you, wanting to offer you something better. So I will sound a call to the educators out there listening to us and those who will listen or watch this replay. Please, going forward in the new year is for you to upgrade. Be a master of your craft. Addict yourself to this craft. If they are looking for somebody in your space, before they look for two, three, four people, they will mention your name. Are you in early years? Are you in special child education? Are you in the music? Are you in mathematics? Be so proficient that your name keeps ringing bell in the sector and people are looking at how to carry you. That happens in other industry. Once they know there is a guru somewhere, they begin to entice him with better pay, better condition. I said, don't worry, you are working there. How much are they offering you? 1 million per month. We're going to make it 1.2. So I think that is one way teacher can liberate themselves from the shackles of low salary, poverty, and what have you. Please upgrade, identify your itch, then find a means to put it out. You need to help other people. You need to upgrade. While we are waiting for government to put the infrastructure in place, you have the onus is on you to improve intellectually. Nobody will do that for you. Government is not going to do that for you. And if you need to take have a round table meeting with your staff, with your colleagues, with the parents, you need to do it. Leverage an association in order for you to experience actualization of your dream. Thank you very much.
Very much. If you, do you want to also say something? If you're, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and I was speaking, but I'm sorry, it was muted. Now, Mr. Olushola has talked about the one of the aspects I wanted to mention, and which is teacher or personal development and training. It's okay to for an establishment to focus on their staff development. But while we wait on that, as individuals, we should go out there. Your personal development is your responsibility. And it brings back to what I was talking about, responsibility. Every individual taking responsibility first for themselves and then for the people around you. So as an educator, you need to take your personal, professional, and career development into consideration for in everything you do. How are you developing yourself? Like he said, if you have your onions, you sell it. If you have, you just need to wait for the right opportunity, and it will find you. So if you're out there and there's that heat of you not being where you feel you need to be, keep working on yourself, keep developing yourself, and the time will come for you to to actually excel. With regards to funding, I mentioned this earlier when I was mentioning the problems. For increased funding to the education sector is one solution that I see will help, and not just increased funding, putting in place measures to ensure that the funds are used appropriately. And those funds are used for what they're supposed to be used for. I think that will, that will go a long way to take out the heat. Hello. Can I go ahead? Can I continue, or I can just leave it there?
If you have one more or two, you can.
Okay, so another thing I was also looking at is the curriculum. Okay, we need to revamp it. We need to improve the curriculum generally in such a way that we can include a place for children's or students' voice. I find that we're getting out of it, but we're still in that place where we're instructing children, we're instructing students, not necessarily giving them a platform for discovery, not necessarily allowing their creativity in every aspect to show forth. So it's not we need to work on the curriculum in such a way that we encourage children's voice, children's choice in their learning, and also to give them that platform to be able to explore and learn for themselves. I think that if we include that, we revamp the curriculum with that, it will go a long way as well. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. It's been an interesting conversation today, and I believe that we've all been able to share one or two experiences and conversations and this will propel others to begin to look for heat zones, heat spots, pressure zones, pressure spots, and do something about it and take out those pressure spots. It's very important that we get to do that. And I love the conversations that we've been having, the perspective that we'll be having, so that a balanced perspective. We're not asking people to do more and become more, but are also dealing with the things that could hinder them from getting more. Um, that's really what I'm excited about. I hope those who've listened to us today will go back to watch the other videos, especially the past 3 weeks. We've been having conversations that actually create defining moments for careers, for professions, for jobs, for individuals as a whole. So I think that this is a very good step in the right direction. Tomorrow, we'll be having yet another interesting conversation. And I believe that most people don't want to miss what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to give us a very sweet eye opener. So we've talked about taking out the heat, right? Tomorrow, and I'm sure Lushala Olumide will be so excited about it. We're saying completely wrong thinking. That's the topic of tomorrow. Completely wrong thinking. And that's what we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. And we'll be here by God's grace. Until then, let's pay offline at the count of three. 1, 2, 3. It's always
It's always a great morning
great.
on the Good Morning Education Show.
All right. Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.